Hey guys, Keeks here, and today I decided to make a double feature movie review. The first movie I'm going to be talking about is the highly anticipated 2026 film, The Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan. This is a film I've been looking forward to all year. I knew about The Odyssey growing up. I remember learning it in school and college. It's definitely one of the most inspiring stories ever told, and seeing it told through the perspective of Christopher Nolan is definitely worth checking out on the big screen. This is such a grand scale epic movie that is loud. It is probably one of the loudest movies I've seen in my entire life, and that is something I appreciate for what it was doing with the sound audio. I hope this movie wins for best sound mixing because some of the sound in this movie is just fucking incredible. The scene with the Cyclops is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire film because of how they use the practical elements of the giant ass Cyclops and the presentation it was given. It was definitely the most accurate out of all of the Odyssey story that was told. Not saying everything else wasn't on par, but when it comes to the Cyclops, it's definitely one you cannot get wrong with telling. Matt Damon does a decent job as Odysseus. He's given the right material that he was told through Christopher Nolan's directing. Anne Hathaway hasn't aged since The Princess Diary. The only casting decision I thought was a little bit off was Tom Holland. I just thought seeing him on screen just reminded me of Spider Penis. It was kind of cool seeing John Berthel drop another "let me tell you something" line.
Let me tell you something else, man. Shit, I tell you, go on it with. But here's what I'll tell you. Let me tell you something, man. Man, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I think.
Dude, this motherfucker takes naps. I don't trust people that take naps, dude. I just found that out. He doesn't take naps, dude. He's a grown-ass man. No, you don't fuck... Dude, yeah, it's like, dude, like, the whole world's moving while you're napping, bro.
No. Wait.
When it comes to the all-star A-list actors, they all did a pretty great job. The cinematography and the scope is just so grand and epic. The editing of this movie just jumped around every second. Nolan has been doing this new style of editing like this ever since Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer is when he was starting to experiment with his old method of editing, something he did in his early films such as Memento. One thing that I give praise for is the sound editing. I was able to hear the dialogue for the first time more than the sound mixing. It was probably because I saw it in an Adobe Cinema screen, so it was probably better hearing. Seeing it in Adobe Cinema is definitely worth checking out if you can't find an IMAX theater near you. Seeing Odyssey on a home media wouldn't be the same experience than seeing it on the big screen. It would take away that cinematic magic that made it so special in the first place. Another problem I had with the movie was some of the dialogue just felt a little bit too modern. It wasn't the entire movie, but there were moments where I picked it up that just felt as if it was written by a modern day writer. It would be interesting to see this film in the original language that it was written from the source material. Overall, I think The Odyssey is better than Oppenheimer. It took a while for me to debate if this was better than that film. I think it did a great job of what it was trying to achieve. The best Nolan film that still is given to Memento and The Dark Knight. I would say that The Odyssey stands out as Nolan's magnum opus, similar to Akira Kurosawa's Ran. It has that same grand scale that I don't think Nolan will ever replicate again. Definitely one of the best movies of the year, debating if it's better than Obsession, but it's up there as one of the better films. Now, the second film I saw was End of Evangelion. If any normie here who doesn't know what Neon Genesis Evangelion is about, it's about this boy named Shinji Ikari, who's 14 years old, who is forced to pilot Avid Unit 1 by his father, who's in charge of a corporation called Nerve, basically funded by the world government to produce these Avid Unit robots who are basically humanoids of gods to fight these alien beings called the Angels. They basically have to get these 14-year-old children to go and pilot these Avas because there's a certain reasons why they gotta pilot these Avas that I'm not gonna spoil. Now, I've seen End of Evangelion multiple times before, ever since high school. The first time I saw it was on my iPhone, then I saw it on a TV screen, and then I saw it on the big screen. This is definitely one that I enjoyed more than seeing it on the smaller screen. It was such a grand scale, epic movie. It definitely reminded me of why I love Evangelion. Evangelion so much, just the magnum opus that it presents itself with the animation, the story, the lore, the characters. Now, you have to see 25 episodes of Neon Genesis Evangelion before you can go see End of Evangelion to know what's going on. Because if you saw this without any knowledge of Evangelion, you're gonna be lost. This is coming from an expert of watching Evangelion since high school. Over the years, I've shown Neon Genesis Evangelion to my friends, family. Now I get to see it with a massive audience. This was such a treat. I love seeing End of Evangelion with such a crowded audience. It was such an incredible experience. Seeing the reaction during certain scenes was just a treat. I love talking about it with people outside the theater of what they thought about the movie. The animation, the chef's kiss. If End of Evangelion is playing nearby, and if you've seen the first 25 episodes, this is definitely worth seeing on the big screen. I've seen Thrice Upon a Time on the big screen a couple years ago, and the disappointing thing about that is that it wasn't as crowded as seeing End of Evangelion. End of Evangelion is a masterpiece when it comes to anime and animation. It was an interesting creation coming from Hideaki Amano, how this was the true ending of Neon Genesis Evangelion, how he had backlash from fans about what the original ending was going to be, including some death threats, which was disturbing. He had to make an entire feature film of what the true ending was going to be about, and it definitely delivered. It's probably one of my favorite movies of all time, even though it's just a finale of a TV show. It's a series that I want to share with more people in the future, and it's one that you definitely need to check out. If you ever want to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion, it's on Netflix, but you can also buy it on physical media at a Walmart nearby. Overall, those are the thoughts I think about with these two movies I saw lately. Definitely go check out the Odyssey and End of Evangelion. Thank you for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.